Welcome friends to my review of the Top Prime Activity Band. I hope you find my exploration useful. Right, so here is the Top Prime Fitness Band. There's a number of highlights on the back of the box here. It tells you the time, how far you've walked, it monitors your sleep, and it can notify you of phone calls and texts and Facebook messages and so on. The things that you set up, it will warn you about. And it's also got an alarm function, so you can set it to alarm and wake you up in the morning. And here's the box. There's the band. The strap pulls off the device itself, and as you'll see later, in fact, you have to pull it out of the band in order to plug it in to charge it. And underneath the box you find your instruction manuals. They're not massively detailed, but they give you enough to get started, and to be honest, you're going to need to find out for yourself what you want to use the device for, because it's a flexible device with a lot of capabilities, so you need to set it up to do the things that you want it to do. But anyway, the manual's there to help you get started. And there is the band itself, and I'm just going to pull it apart to show you. Pull the end off, and which I'm just holding too high. There's a photograph of it later, which might make things a bit plainer. And here is the band pulled apart, and you can see the USB plug. Obviously, if you're familiar with USB, it's obvious how you plug it into a charger. So I've been using this app for a couple of days now, and also the app's updated itself a couple of times, and I think I'm beginning to get the hang of it a little bit. It seems to think I've done 10,566 steps today. Not quite sure where it got that idea from, but I do think that moving the wrist is what makes it think you've taken steps, and I have been using my keyboard quite a bit, so maybe that's the reason why. This is the sleep graph. You can see at the moment it's showing me last night's sleep. The line graph at the top shows that I was sort of fairly deeply asleep from just after midnight until just before 6. And then there's a bar graph at the bottom. Each of those vertical, in the middle, each of those vertical bars is a day, and so the one on the right is corresponds to the line above. I'm not quite sure what the colours mean. This is the help. It says histogram: dark colour, the colour, light sleep, deep sleep, respectively. Moderate light sleep when a long high value graph indicates a high level of activity. I think what it means is that the darker colour means you're sleeping deeply, the medium colour means you're sleeping mediumly, and the light colour means you're sleeping light. But that's the wording isn't so obvious. Down the bottom there are some numbers. For some reason or another, it seems to think that I only slept for 1.4 hours, despite the fact the bar graph shows differently. I think that's a bug that still needs to be ironed out in the program, but they have corrected a number of bugs since I've had this program, so I'm sure they'll get to that one too. Let's go back from sleep analysis. If I go to data, you can see the different days, and the days with the red lines are ones when it thinks I did 10,000 steps, which is my target based on my weight, my age, my height, and so on. There we are. So this is the one there. So that's 10,000 steps, 4.72 miles, burnt 700 calories. That's 700 calories over and above what I would have burnt anyway just by being alive. There's a friend app here. Now I've sent a couple of friend requests to people. There aren't any other British people on this at the moment. They all seem to be Chinese. I don't know whether any of the people I sent a friend request to will respond. But there you go. It's sort of a competition, so you can compete against each other to see who's done the most stuff. If I go to device, you can see there's an alarm clock setting. There's an alarm set for 4 minutes past 8 at the moment. That was just a test, so I'll turn that off. I don't need that anymore. There's an alarm set for every day. For Monday to Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning. You can either have general or medicine as your alarm labels. You don't seem to be able to change that yet. And you've got a total of 8 different alarms you can set up, so that's quite useful. what happens when the alarm goes off is that the wrist buzzes and vibrates and flashes a message on the screen. It does it for about a minute and then it stops. Stroking the screen or tapping the device or anything like that doesn't seem to turn the alarm off, but it does turn itself off after about a minute, so that's fine. Sleep settings. This is where you set up the time of night when you reckon you're going to be asleep. So I've set mine from 10:30 to 7 because normally I sleep somewhere in between those times. Silent settings. This is when the device won't pass notifications to you. Other settings. So I've been playing around with this, trying to get it to give me notifications. It's loading up the things that I've got set up for notifications at the moment. Let's see which ones it comes up with. There we are. So it's remembered all of these. Now, it wasn't remembering these when I first had it, and I think it was probably because I didn't have another setting, which I'll show you in a moment, turned on. So I've got it set up to notify me if someone phones me, to notify me if someone sends a Facebook message, to notify me if I get a text, and to notify me of activity on 3 in touch. Anti-lost. What it does here is it vibrates and rings if I move out of range of my phone. Notify. Now you need to turn notify on for it to remember the notifications, and when you turn notify on, it's not going to do it for me now, but you get a little message which tells you that you need to allow this app to notify you of stuff, and immediately Android puts another message over the top of it. So you do need to get back there and tell it that you do want this app to be allowed to send you notifications. Various cheaper smartwatches, and they haven't apparently worked. Could be because I'd failed to... here we are, Top Prime status bar, there we are. So Top Prime is the name of this device. You can see I've got it set to allow notifications. You have to have it set to allow notifications, otherwise it doesn't notify you of stuff whatever you've got set up in the device, because obviously Android won't send notifications to things that aren't allowed them. I've had various cheap smartphones, watches in the past, and they haven't sent me notifications, and it's possible that it's because I didn't know about setting up the app to be allowed notifications, but I have set it up for this one, and the notifications are now working quite nicely for me. Let's go back to this. What other settings have we got? Yeah, so I've got to display the date, the time format's 24 hour, all this sort of business. It's in temporary mode at the moment. I don't really want it in temporary mode. It should be in permanent mode. And what else have we got? Search for bracelet, that's for setting up another bracelet. More. Profile. So this is where you have to set up who you are. You can see it's set a goal of 10,000 steps for me. That's based on my gender, my height and weight. When it starts up, for some reason it has metric units, but it does quite correctly have your height in inches and your weight in pounds. So I don't know quite why it has metric units for distance, because in this country we don't really use metric measurements. All the signposts are in miles. So there you go. Anyway, you have the choice. That's the thing, you have the choice. And you need to press the save button when you make changes to make sure it saves it. What else have we got in more? There's a feedback thing, so if you want to report a bug or anything, you can use this form to fill in stuff, and then you press send email and it will send off an email to the maker to let them know what you think. Check for updates. Probably worth doing that, certainly at the moment, because this is quite a new device. So it's been updated at least once since I've had it, maybe twice. Doesn't seem to be finding any updates at the moment, so I'm just going to click on. I don't want to exit the app. Just going to go back. I'll check updates again in a minute. So that's a brief tour of the app. Oh, and the other thing you can do is you click on the share thing here, and you can publish to whatever you want to publish to. So there's the watch, just going to stroke it, and there's the display. It doesn't stay on for very long, and this doesn't seem to be adjustable. A little trick that I was told the other day. I'm not actually going out on my bike at the moment, but if you are going to go out on your bike, you need to put the smart device in your sock, because
your arms don't, or you can strap it around your ankle if you've got small enough ankles, because your arms don't move much when you're cycling. So if you put the smart device in your sock securely so it won't fall out, it's difficult to do it one-handed, but you can see what I'm doing. I put it there and then put the trousers over the top, put my toe clips on as well. Then when your legs are going up and down, it counts your pedal strokes, and you get at least some of the score you should get for exercising on a
So
bicycle.
here's a photo of all the bits that come in the box. You can see I've put the fitness band back into the box, and you've got the instructions and so on sitting in front of it. Here is a photo of the fitness band with the strap pulled out off the USB plug, so that you can see what you've got to plug into a USB charger. And here it is plugged into a charger. Possibly not the best charger to use, this particular one because of the shape of it, but whatever charger you use, that's what you do.